outcomes. And so keeping track, one of the things we need to do in reform is have metrics about doctors. And so we know which doctors order 4 times as much tests as other doctors. And then we have people, the insurance companies or their peers, go to them and say, hey, Dr. Smith, you order 4 times as many tests as Dr. Jones. He's got the same patients right next to you. Something's not right here. We're going to reimburse you less. You're going to get less bonuses for those tests. We're going to pay you less because you're over-ordering tests.
Now, what scares me, again, is...
It's tricky.
Why should I think the federal government is capable of watching this?
Well, that's a very fair question. It's a very fair question.
See, that's why...
Yeah, it is a fair question.
I don't
and it's
try to
one of the ones I worry about.
But we just... I don't believe you guys can do all this.
That's, well, that's the trick. Is it better just to?
Yeah, who can?
That's why it's useful that people are paying $20 as part of a transaction, so they're at least thinking about that and asking the question of the doctors: is it necessary? That's one of the things we need in the system. So.
Well, that's what, you know. What about the poor people that you want to get on this?
Yep.
That don't have any skin in the game.
Everybody should have skin in the game.
How are they going to have, if they don't have any money, how are they going to have skin?
Well, they won't have a lot of skin, but everybody has to have skin in the game. That's my opinion. Yep. So you're into the hard questions because I'm outlining some of the problems and they're not easy to solve. This is why I've been talking about it for months and there's no obvious answer to a lot of these things. They're hard. But we do know that we're spending twice as much on healthcare as any other industrialized country, and our average outcomes are middle of the pack. So we know we can do better because we do the best at the high end, but we're not. Our system is clearly spending too much for what we're getting back out of it right now. So we can tweak it and get better, even though the federal government's not great at doing anything. But they can do better than what we're doing right now, in my opinion. So that's my threshold. If we do it better, I will be in favor of it. So anyway, I'm sorry to answer too long on one question. In the back?
Got 2 emails in the last 2 days that there's going to be some raids on dairy farms for illegal workers. I'm all for sealing the borders. Vermont and New York. Yeah, it's in New York. I'm all for sealing the borders, but let's have a comprehensive border control plan and not just penalize dairy farmers who are barely surviving right now.
Well, more than that, we just need a comprehensive immigration plan.
Right.
Let's solve the problem instead of, I mean, we know, everybody knows there's millions of people here that don't have the right visas to work, and they're not here legally. We need to solve that problem.
There's 11 million people here, and they're going to hit 100 farms in New York. Like, that's going to make a big dent in the problem.
That's frustrating. We haven't gotten there, but, I mean, this was something 4 years ago. John McCain and Ted Kennedy came together with a comprehensive immigration reform plan, and George Bush agreed. I mean, you got those 3 guys could agree to something. How we couldn't get it done, I'm astonished, and I think that's what we need to do now. Is just solve the problem. And
yeah, it was amnesty.
Pretty much. I don't think anybody wants front of the line privileges for people who are here illegally.
I agree.
And that's what shut it down.
They're criminals.
Yes, you need to. So, in my immigration plan, I'll give you the short pieces. You've got to secure the borders. You need to actually, as part of a solution, have employers checking that people are here legally, but you can't just do that willy-nilly. You need to be part of a solution. You need to come up with a solution for a guest worker program so that we can have people that want to come here and work part-time and go back, but it needs to work. The current visa systems don't work. We know that. I hear this from all of my dairy farmers. And we need to solve the problem of the 11 million people that are here illegally. They need to go to the end of the line. They need to pay a fine for breaking the law. They need to learn English. And then they can apply after they do that to either be in a guest worker program or go to line up to try to become a citizen. And then we get everybody into a path somewhere, and then we can start with a system that works, in my opinion. And
Isn't that what we did in 1986?
No, that wasn't nearly, we didn't do everything in 1986.
It appears that, I have a son-in-law who's an immigrant. I had to sign a paper for 10 years when he came here to guarantee a job for him and so on, you know, that if something happened to him. These people come in illegally, no one signs a paper for them, they get a reward. He still has his green card. They're talking amnesty for people who broke the law.
Yeah, so he should be ahead of anybody that broke the law in
There are
terms
a
of
lot of
getting
things that
citizenship.
should be, but they don't happen.
Well, anything that I would be supporting would be so that he would be ahead and he could get citizenship before anybody that was here illegally, because that's only fair. The back, right behind you, actually. I was trying to.
I'd like to know something. If the government, and you have pros and cons about this health care, but I see this way. There is so much money involved in this. Okay. This year's budget in the United States was $1 trillion. That's the 2010 budget. They're alleging that this healthcare bill is $1 trillion and more. The Senate is alleging that, like Tom said, it's $850 billion in round numbers.
Over 10
But there
years.
is also a doctor's stipend there of $200 billion. So that brings it to $1,500 billion, or $50 billion.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, now, I have this question. How do you think the government is gonna run this program when they can't run cash for clunkers? The H1N1 flu, the Social Security, the US Mail, the income taxes. They have a bill that has 2,000 sheets of paper in it on both sides to read. How do people read this? The Senate bill has, they read it for 12 hours, and it has 18 taxes in it so far that had go to all of us. They are going to cut $500 billion out of Medicaid. Or Medicare, whichever it is, I can never get it straight. Okay. Now, this is not going to do any of us any good. So, if you think that, I believe that this government of ours can take our money and spend it. If I were to tell you what I think, generally what people that go into government do with their common sense is, well, but I would just like you to answer that question. How do you think the government can run this when they cannot run anything else?
So, hopefully I haven't lost my common
Your
sense yet.
business would not be run, you would not be a businessman and run a business, or any of our dairy farmers, or any of us here, would run a business like our government runs a business. The only reason they can do this is because they can print the money.
So there's a lot of different questions in there. I'll address.
Yes, there are.
Let me address one that you'll probably be happy about and I'm most excited about. So I have a bill that we're about to draft, that we're drafting, that we'll probably submit next week. Actually, probably a week after next week. We'll be out holiday. Nobody will be there on Thanksgiving. But that I call the 60 Minutes fix, which I don't know how many people saw the Medicare expose on 60 Minutes a couple weeks ago.
I did.
Unbelievable stuff.
Unbelievable.
So they've got this guy who's a drug dealer
Yes.
that they've arrested, and they've got him on there, and he's got, he's got his shades and his little goatee thing, and he's hanging out, and he's telling him, I was a drug dealer, but I stopped because it was easier to steal from Medicare. So I stopped being a drug dealer, and I started doing this. He would set up a business.
We saved one person.
Fake business, and it would sell wheelchairs and crutches, and he would then buy an illegal list of birthdays and social security numbers and names of seniors, and then he would just send Medicare a bill saying, this woman born this day with this social security number, I gave her a $400 wheelchair. This man, I gave him $200 worth of crutches and blah, blah, blah. And Medicare just pay him. And then after a few months, he would disappear. And then Medicare would start to find out, because the men and women, that they would also send a confirmation to these actual people and say, we paid for your wheelchair. And then they would call Medicare up and say, well, I didn't get a wheelchair. And eventually Medicare would catch on. So my bill, very simple, less than a page. Medicare won't pay any new business until they've talked to 10 customers and confirmed that they actually got the equipment. Because this thing only lasted for a couple months, and then he had to go on to the next thing. It's very simple to solve. This is how I would have solved it in the business world, right? We wouldn't have paid a new customer for something, a new vendor, until we confirmed we actually got the equipment. So that's the kind of stuff that I hope I can bring common sense to make it run more efficiently. That doesn't mean we're going to solve every problem, but that's a response. I don't know if that helps. I can go